dated back to Babylon and brought that to European royalty, then set up the Rothschilds Bank?
I think there's a lot of evidence. I've been reading about the Templars, and they definitely established one of the first banks in Europe. And, I was reading that when the first banks were established in France and northern Italy, it was with Templar money and influence. So definitely I think there is a link there. I don't know. I wish I knew more of the details in terms of the Rothschilds, but that's something that maybe somebody else could comment on.
Yeah, I'm not very familiar with that. As far as I know, I mean, you always hear the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, and really at the end of the day, I'm concerned with self and family, and that's where my preparation efforts go. But I do know that there is a most serious conspiracy of elitists here that are trying to take control of society, and I mean we're at the precipice, if you ask me. And I know Griff feels the same way. And I don't know, how do you feel about it, Kevin? Where do you see things going here in the future?
You mean for all of us?
Just for all of us in general. I mean, what's your viewpoint?
I think we're in real trouble. And people often talk about a small elite that are running the world, and that. My gut feeling is that that's often an image that rulers like to create for themselves, that that they're in charge. And more, I think our planet is out of control. We're heading for serious problem, and nobody really has an answer. And the problem is that with this whole legacy of what I call Christendom, which is the idea that God will sanction conquest of others, that it's okay to kill and conquer somebody who isn't like you. That's the ideology that's led to a lot of these problems we're having globally. So we've got to kind of go back to square one, and if we're going to pull ourselves out of this mess, we've got to question the basic assumptions here. Otherwise, we just keep replicating the problem. So, just kind of in a nutshell, we're in the end times. I do believe that.
Yeah, no, I believe it too. I mean, Bible speaks of it. We had Dr. Waterman on the other night where he kind of tied in Mayan, the Aztec, the I Ching, all these different texts together. And they all culminate and they all come and point to this time period and this time frame being the end. And there's different views about what the end is or how it's going to be or how it's going to play out. But the fact of the matter is, whether you're an atheist, whether you are a Christian, whether you're a Muslim, it doesn't really matter. We're at the precipice as a people. And that's really what it comes down to. One of the things that I often say is that there's one race on this planet, the human race, and that we're all gonna sink or swim. And that's the thing, is it's up to us to kind of pull ourselves out, pull our heads out of our tuchuses, and do what we got to do to make things happen. But these power elites have really got a stranglehold on things right now because they hold what's perceived as the power, but they really don't have it. God gave us all free will, and that's the thing that people need to understand is you can choose to say no. You can choose to say, I don't want to go down that road. And are there consequences? Yeah. Is it going to be tough? Yeah. But the battle has to be fought at some point in time.
Well, especially, I often like speaking in America because what I find, as gloomy as it always seems in one's own situation, Americans have a much greater tradition of that than people in Canada. You've had a civil war, you've had a revolution, you have a whole tradition where people distrust government and challenge authority. It's not like that in Canada at all. You're considered a traitor if you even suggest that the church and government are guilty of anything. It's like there's that whole British kind of imperial tradition still in the minds of people here. And so I look to, I'm very positive about how there's people all over America, especially, and in England, I met 20,000 of them in the streets. I mean, a lot of people are waking up now, and I think that's why the overt means of mind control and that are increasing, and the fear-based control is increasing because, I think they know they're losing their power, and people are really waking up. So that's all hopeful for me.
Yeah, there is an awakening underway. I do feel that. I just wonder if it's too little, too late, or
might be,
or what. And that's the thing.
It very well might be. we could very well be at the end of our cycle, and if so, then I figure it's kind of like when I work with people who are dying. There's that whole period of denial, and then anger, and then finally acceptance, and we're going through that. If we are going out as a species, then we should face it and go out with some honor and grace, and try to do the right thing. So that's also a possibility, and we should look at if we are terminally ill like that.
Right. And what do you think, Griff? Do you think we're terminally ill?
I'm not sure. Kevin, I'll ponder that. Kevin, have you ever had any paranormal experiences? I'll use the word paranormal. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I have.
Very many?
I've had a couple of visions. The first one I had when I was back in Ireland, where my family are from. I took part in an actual exorcism when I was in Port Alberni, which is something that's very difficult to describe, but a direct experience of something real and very destructive and evil that I can't even describe. But it was a presence that left this woman, and as it left the room we were in, there was the primary exorcist and then a group around him praying and holding space around him to protect him. As this thing left the room, it left this. It felt like a claw going over all of us, and it left a mark. And it's kind of interesting how when you're engaged on that level with whatever it is that's behind this, and I know it's real. It takes a toll when you confront it directly, But that's part of the
many of us listening tonight have had, I'll call, paranormal experiences.
Yeah.
Many of the experiences speak of the future. Many of the experiences are good. I have never had a bad experience, but I've had many good experiences pointing to future events. Another question, we're running out of time here, and I want to ask you two more questions. Depending on how you interpret Ezekiel 38 and 39, could it be that we're approaching those prophecies in Israel, in Europe now?
Quite possibly. It depends on the interpretation we give it. But I've often thought about that myself.
It does. I don't
have a definitive answer. Pardon me?
Yeah. It does seem to match the events that are playing out over there.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on the Gulf of Mexico and the 30-40 million people that are getting sick down there?
Oh my God! It's just so huge and terrible. At this point, I'm open to any possibility. But it's kind of like the general question I have. If the elites are managing this, causing these disasters, they're also being affected by it. So,
yes.
Is that something that they're doing, or is it something that's just out of control, like I said earlier, and nobody has a handle on anymore? It's just a machine that's out of control.
I think much of it is out of control.
Yeah. And really,
it is out of control.
And folks, we'll be talking about that in the next hour, along with John Moore.
Can I say something?
Absolutely, Henning, you can say something.
Well, you were talking about sanity, right?
Sure,
about
of course.
Being crazy. Well, in Timothy 2, it is clearly said that God did not give us the spirit of fear. He gave us power, knowledge, and a sound mind. So what is coming between there, that is the big deception. That is what is confusing us, instead of we staying on what we are really created as. Mm-hmm. We are being directed away from our power, from our knowledge, and our sound mind. And we are going nuts, and that's why we are so busy killing each other.
And that's a very valid point, Henning. And the Gulf here it's not over, not by any means. And no. And we're going to be getting to that in depth in the next hour, along with, like I said, John Moore is going to be on the show. And between you, Henning, and John, we should be able to paint a very vivid picture as far as where that's going. And I truly believe, I look at the prophecy of and the sea was turned as the blood of a dead man, and I taking a look back at the events of the Gulf and looking at the tremendous amount of sea life that's dying, and the fact that it's so toxic so toxic down there. And, you know, I don't know if you followed, Kev, but all the way from the Grand Banks all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico, fish are dying en masse.
Yeah.
And it just kind of makes you wonder what we're actually looking at here, you know.
Yeah,
and
some would
what,
say it's the Book of Revelation. So.
Right, and that's just it. You know, I really feel like we're seeing it being fulfilled. You know, and
it is.
Yeah, exactly right. So, you know, that's why I keep preaching self and family. Griff always says it all the time: self and family. If for anything else, even if you don't believe that it's prophecy or that you don't believe in prophecy, it's the sensible thing to do. It's the course that everybody should be on. Get yourself and your family, get your ducks in a row, and ready to be able to endure what's going to be coming. And who knows what's coming? You know, I really don't know what's coming, but I can tell you it doesn't look good. I mean, I could put two and two together, you know. But, Kevin, it was great to have you on tonight. I really, really enjoyed it. This was a fantastic interview, and we would love to have you back. And I know, and you know, we've offered you a show on the new network, and I tell you what, I think you would be a great addition, and at least give you a voice once again after those goofballs over in Canada knocked you off the air.
Well, that would be wonderful. Thank you, and I'd love that opportunity, so I hope we can talk about that more.
Absolutely, absolutely. Folks, his website is www.hiddenfromhistory.org, and Kevin, is your YouTube channel is also Hidden from History, is it not?
I can't remember, to be honest. I have a MySpace account with that.
Well, is that
look it up. I don't have technological savvy, guys. Sorry. Yeah.
Kevin?
Yes.
Have you been in Glen Rose, Texas?
No.
Really, if you are in the America and you have the time for it, go to Glen Rose, Texas at the Creation Evidence Museum.
Okay.
And you will see something startling.
Okay. I'll be down in the States doing a book tour. I'm doing a book launch in the new year when my new book comes out. So hope to, we'll talk more about that. Thank you, guys.
You got it, Kevin. Guys, coming up, John Moore and Henning Kemner. We're talking about the Gulf. We're talking about the Gulf Stream. And we're taking your phone calls when we come back. Stay tuned.
Most Americans know the significance of July 4th, 1776. However, few know the importance of September 17th, 1787, the day the Constitution was written and adopted by our founders. Unfortunately, over 200 years later, this sacred document is under attack, along with our beloved republic. Throughout the span of history, brave men and women have rallied behind banners, which have served as symbols of liberty against the forces of tyranny. Today, we have the Constitution Pride Flag to show our support for the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, freedom, liberty, and justice for we the people of the United States. Now available at www.1787flags.com. Get your very own Constitution Pride Flag today and receive a free pocket Constitution with your order. www.1787flags.com. The official website of the Constitution Pride Flag. That's www.1787flags.com.
This is Shepard with the Intel Hub. Don't forget to check out my show weekdays at 3 p.m. Central on American Freedom Radio.
Did you ever wish that you could have done something while you still had the chance? What will you do if your income ends tomorrow? Or if you lose your home, as many already have? Do you have enough money to survive through an economic depression? If you don't want to gamble with your future, then FreeToProsper.com can help you quickly end your debt problems, protect your property and possessions, and develop a personal strategy to get you through the hard times. Most importantly, you get to keep your money and not pay another cent to creditors. Our program is often superior to bankruptcy, consolidation, or settlement. Visit FreeToProsper.com to find out more. This is